Good afternoon, class, or whatever time you plan to be watching this. I am Coach Elliott.
I'm Coach Wright.
And we have came together during this time of hardship to continue your education. Specifically today, through the reading of Thank You, Ma'am by Langston Hughes. Now, if you've set up on Google Classroom, you know the questions are already on there, and I feel like realness is important during this time. Do you value realness during this time? Coach Wright agrees. I realize that you may not be doing this, that maybe you feel like this is unnecessary, but please, if nothing else, please, if nothing else, enjoy this time together as Coach Wright and I are enjoying our time together. Be sure to practice hashtag social distancing. Coach Wright and I only hugged for, 30 seconds when I got here? So today we're going to look at Thank You, Ma'am by Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was a prominent African-American author during the Harlem Renaissance, probably more well-known for his poetry than he was for his short stories, but I think Thank You, Ma'am would be a good place to start during this time.
I heard he was a poet and didn't know it.
He was actually quite aware of it.
He could make a rhyme anytime?
Yeah, he was pretty gifted in that. Forgot, this video is brought to you by Clorox. Pick up your Clorox disinfectant wipes at any place. Usually corners, though, by people who have purchased them in bulk and are now reselling them for, what'd you pay for that, $75?
Stole it.
Oh, well, that's always an option. Thank You, Ma'am by Langston Hughes, part of the Harlem Renaissance. Harlem Renaissance was described by Langston Hughes as a period of time where Harlem was in vogue. In other words, the things that were coming out of Harlem were popular. They were widely appealing to the vast majority of Americans. This was during the 1920s, mostly from around 1918 till around the start of World War II. End of the 1930s, so World War II. Part of the Roaring Twenties, the second big one. Part of the 1920s, this swinging 20s, if you've seen The Great Gatsby, something like that. Part of that culture, the music, the poetry, the writing that was coming out of Harlem, the artwork that was coming out of Harlem was very popular, although it was still 1920s in America, which was not necessarily a great time to be an African American. So they were being recognized for their artwork, but at the same time not being recognized as human beings, which would be a negative. And really not lighthearted enough for this video, but still, it happened, and now we're going to look at Thank You, Ma'am by Langston Hughes. The link is on Google Classroom. If you need the short story, you can follow along with me. Coach Wright, here's your... Right. Okay, would you like to read or would you like me to? I'll read. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but hammer and nails. It had a long strap, and she carried it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and she was walking alone when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with a single tug that the boy gave it from behind. But the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance, and so instead of taking off full blast that he had hoped, the boy fell on his back on the sidewalk, and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue-jeaned sitter. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his shirt front, and shook him until his teeth rattled. Did you ever steal anything? Besides the Clorox wipes, yes.
That's it.
That's the only thing you've ever stolen?
Yes.
I've stolen a lot of stuff. After that, the woman said, "Pick my pocketbook, boy, and give it here. Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." She still held him, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. Then she said, "Now ain't you ashamed of yourself?" Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, "Yes'm." The woman said, "What did you want to do that for?" The boy said, "I didn't aim to." She said, "You a lie." By that time, 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. "If I turn you loose, will you run?" asked the woman. "Yes'm," said the boy. "Then I won't turn you loose," said the woman. She did not release him. "I'm very sorry, lady, I'm sorry," whispered the boy. "Uh-huh, and your face is dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face for you. Ain't you got nobody home to tell you to wash your face?" "No, said the boy. Very helpful in washing your face and disinfecting it. Oh, Bath and Body Works. Sugar cane. Rainforest sugar cane. I didn't know that was out.
Stole it.
But you said you only stole those.
I like it.
Well, it doesn't really count because it's only got about that much in it. Tell you what, let's do a recap of the story up to this point real quick. So this woman, described as a large woman, is walking down the street, and a young boy comes up behind her and tries to steal her purse. He is unsuccessful. He trips as soon as he grabs the purse. And was that left over from Toomer's Corner?
War Eagle.
It just cost you $100.
Stole it.
Darn. Anyway, she tries to steal his pocketbook. As he tries to steal her pocketbook. As he goes on, he trips and falls, and she kicks him in the tuchus. She grabs the boy and says, What are you doing? Why are you going to try to run if I let you go?" To which the boy says, "Yes." So you have to appreciate his honesty, much as I appreciate your honesty in stealing. So she holds on to him. Then she notices his face is dirty. Now let's talk about having a dirty face. I have a child. You have children. I saw them a second ago. When you go out in public with your children, one of the first things you want to make sure they have is a clean face. Because that face is representative of you and me. The rest of them can be filthy, but it'll be covered up most of the time. If their face is dirty, then it's representing not only them, but the people that they're around. So we're already establishing that this boy really doesn't seem to have anybody that cares about him. All right? So she is standing there, holding him by the collar, shaking him occasionally. And let's continue with the story. "Then it will get washed this evening," referring to the boy's face, said the large woman starting up the street, dragging the frightened boy behind her. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail and willow wild, in tennis shoes and blue jeans. The woman said, "You ought to be my son. I would teach you right from wrong. Least I can do right now is to wash your face. Are you hungry?" "No," said the being dragged boy. "I just want you to turn me loose." "Was I bothering you when I turned that corner?" asked the woman. "No." Got it first. "But you put yourself in contact with me," said the woman. "If you think that contact is not going to last a while, you got another thing coming. When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones." Got a long name, a lot of names. Sweat popped out on the boy's face, and he began to struggle. Miss Jones stopped, jerked him around in front of her, put a half Nelson about his neck, and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to her door, she dragged the boy inside, down a hall, and into the large kitchenette-furnished room at the rear of her house. She switched on the light and left the door open. The boy could hear other roomers laughing and talking in the large house. Some of the doors were open too, so he knew he and the woman were not alone. The woman still had him by the neck in the middle of the room. She said, "What is your name?" "Roger," answered the boy. "Then, Roger, you go to that sink and wash your face," said the woman, whereupon she turned him loose at last. Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. Notice that it is italicized. That is italicized because it is important to realize the boy made a choice at this point. He could have ran out the door, but he's going to stay and watch this play out. He's going to stay and see what happens. Miss Jones has... Roger. Miss Jones has made an impression on Roger. He is going to sit and watch this play out. I guess maybe the fact that she hasn't just completely wailed on him at this point is evidence that that maybe he kind of wants to see how this goes. We've already established that he doesn't really have anybody that cares about him. You're the cute puppy. You're the cute puppy. Yes, you are. Yeah, you're the cute puppy. Continuing on. Roger is at the sink, and Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones, she's got a lot of names, it's hard to remember, says, "Let the water run until it gets warm," she said. "Here's a clean towel." "You going to take me to jail?" asked the boy, bending over the sink. "Not with that face. I would not take you nowhere," said the woman. "Here I am trying to get home to cook me a bite to eat, and you snatch my pocketbook. Maybe you ain't been to your supper either, late as it be. Have you?" "There's nobody home at my house," said the boy. "Then we'll eat," said the woman. "I believe you're hungry, or been hungry, to try to snatch my pocketbook." "I wanted a pair of blue suede shoes," said the boy. "Well, you don't have to snatch my pocketbook to get some suede shoes," said Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones. "You could have asked me." "Ma'am?" The water dripping from his face, the boy looked at her. There was a long pause, a very long pause. As he had dried his face, and not knowing what else to do, dried it again, the boy turned around, wondering what next. The door was open. He could make a dash for it down the hall. He could run.
Forrest.
The woman was sitting on the daybed. After a while, she said, "I were young once, and I wanted things I could not get." There was another long pause. The boy's mouth opened. Then he frowned, not knowing he frowned. The woman said, "You thought I was going to say but, didn't you? You thought I was going to say, but I didn't snatch people's pocketbooks." "Well, I wasn't going to say that." Pause. Silence. "I have done things too, which I will not tell you, son. Neither tell God if he didn't already know. So you sit down while I fix us something to eat. You might run that comb through your hair so you look presentable." So, at this point, we're expecting Miss Bates to give like the typical life lesson. "When I was your age, I wanted stuff, and I didn't go get it. I didn't steal. I didn't take from anybody," but she doesn't say that. She admits that when she was younger, that she did things that she shouldn't have to get the things she wanted. And we're just left there to kind of let that moment sit on Roger as he considers what he has attempted to do this evening.
Roger.
In another corner of the room, behind a screen, was a gas plate and an icebox. Miss Jones got up and went behind the screen. The woman did not watch the boy to see if he was going to run now, nor did she watch her purse, which she left behind her on the daybed. But the boy took care to sit on the far side of the room where he thought she could easily see him out of the corner of her eye, if she wanted to. He did not trust the woman not to trust him, and he did not want to be mistrusted now. "Do you need somebody to go to the store?" asked the boy. "Maybe to get some milk or something?" "Don't believe I do," said the woman, "unless you want sweet milk yourself. I was going to make cocoa out of this canned milk I got here." "That will be fine," said the boy. She heated some lima beans and ham she had in the icebox, made the cocoa, and set the table. The woman did not ask the boy anything about where he lived, or his folks, or anything else that would embarrass him. Instead, as they ate, she told him about her job in a hotel beauty shop that stayed up late, what the work was like, and how all kinds of women came in and out, blondes, redheads, and Spanish. Then she cut him a half of her 10-cent cake, which would make it like a 5-cent cake, I guess. So I think it's important to realize that she leaves her purse sitting on the daybed because as she goes through what she's doing, she does not really care about her purse at this point. She's more concerned about the person. We're going to come back to that later. That would get you 1 10-cent cake or 2 5-cent cakes. "Eat some more, son," she said. When they were finished eating, she got up and said, "Now here, take this $10 and buy yourself some blue suede shoes. And next time, do not make the mistake of latching onto my pocketbook, nor nobody else's, because shoes come by devilish like that will burn your feet. I got to get my rest now, but I wish you would behave yourself, son, from here on in." She led him down the hall to the front door and opened it. "Good night. Behave yourself, boy," she said, looking out into the street. The boy wanted to say something other than "Thank you, ma'am," to Miss Luella Bates Washington Jones, but he couldn't do so as he turned at the barren stoop and looked back at the large woman in the door. He managed to say thank you before she shut the door, and he never saw her again. The point of that story, ladies and gentlemen, is compassion. That is the central theme of this story. Compassion for people even when they've done you wrong. That is the central theme. Now, as we go through the next few weeks, as we do some lessons throughout the COVID crisis, I think it's going to be important to learn compassion as well, to keep compassion in mind, even if people do wrong to you. Now, we've got some questions. I say we. I've got some questions that after we turn the camera off, I'm going to ask Coach Wright about the story. If you would turn those in on Google Classroom, I would appreciate it. If you simply just watch this video and take 20 minutes out of your day to sort of break down what's going on in the middle of this, to enjoy a short story during this time period, I think that would be a good step. It is something, ladies and gentlemen, and as I try to remind you all the time, something is more than nothing by definition. We'll do that in a math lesson maybe, that 0 does not equal not 0. Is that like a formula? Has anybody ever done that before?
I don't know.
Math is dumb. So, if you enjoyed this video, we'll make more videos later on as we go through the COVID crisis. If you did not enjoy this video, we're probably going to make more videos anyway because I thought this was fun. Did you enjoy it? All right. Thank you. Wash your hands, practice social distancing, and we will see you in a week or so. Bye.